Today we're doing a video about Billionaire Row. Behind me you can see several tall buildings. Most of them are considered part of Billionaire Row. But let's go start from the beginning, from the history. I'm by Columbus Circle. We've spoken about Columbus Circle before. The Italian immigrants erected a statue of Columbus back in the day to show that they had made a contribution to America. And now, of course, there are many school districts where he isn't even acknowledged. But times change. People who are heroes become villains, and then things turn back again. So we're not here to discuss most of that, but this is a circle that was created by Italian Americans many years ago, and it was a mess. I don't know when it was created. It must have been beautiful. The architecture is great. But as recently as the 1980s, you say that's recent? Well, I physically was here, so I can tell you it was a mess. There were roads crisscrossing. There wasn't this beautiful circle we have today. In fact, the circle was given an award by Roundabout magazine as the best roundabout in the world. So if anybody knows what a roundabout is, that's something in other countries that we have some of them in the US, but it's not that common because we have lights, traffic lights and cross streets. Anyway, not to digress, but let's move away from Columbus Circle where everything started, which is the center from which anything is measured. Any city, any distances to New York City are measured to this spot, Columbus Circle. So it's a rather noisy circle right now, but because of all the different traffic that goes in different directions, Broadway intersects Central Park West and creates the circle. Columbus is on the other side here, Amsterdam Avenue as well. So a lot of main thoroughfares coming together on the southwest corner of Central Park. That is Central Park behind me. That's where it starts, 59th Street, and we are on Central Park West over there. It goes all the way up to 110th and also Central Park West. 3 blocks east is Fifth Avenue, the other border. So that's Central Park. And somehow all of that brought together a large amount of investment in this area. Many years ago, there was a very flat building called the Coliseum. Coliseum was a very unimpressive building. It was large. It had trade fairs, but nothing to look at. Rather an eyesore. And I think there was some bad things that came out of there. So decided to do something better with this part of town. The Coliseum was sold, and the Time Warner Center was erected. So the Time Warner Center essentially sort of started off Billionaire Row in a way. There were other buildings that came before that, such as, if you look over here, this very shiny building here. Before it was shiny, it was the Gulf and Western building. The Gulf and Western building, like I said, an oil company, but in the main floor down here was a movie theater. I remember going to see movies there back in, again, the 80s. And then that was bought by Mr. Trump and converted into a hotel and residences. So that was here as a building well before I got here. And behind me, of course, was the Coliseum. Anyway, related, the company that built most of Hudson Yards, that we've spoken about before, and in some of my other videos, built this Time Warner Center for Time Warner, the broadcasting giant. As you can see, there are tall glass towers, and they were created for office, shopping. There's an Equinox health club. There's a hotel in there. That's the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. There's an entrance to the Equinox. There are a couple of entrances to the residences. Now here's the shops at Lincoln Center, as well as Lincoln Center for Jazz. So if somebody says, I played jazz at Lincoln Center, you don't go up to 66th Street where the main Lincoln Center is. It would be here. There are a couple of auditoriums here. I think the Rose Hall, which you see mentioned on this, as well as this Dizzy's Room, which is a smaller theater where you can actually have dinner, watch a show right in front of you. Of course, beautiful views because they're a little further up there, and they look down on Columbus Circle and Central Park, as well as all the buildings on the east side over there that we'll see in a moment. Very, very beautiful. There are bars, restaurants, and also have those views. They can sit and just look out upon Central Park, Columbus Circle, all the buildings on Central Park South, which we'll go into in a little bit. But these tall buildings that you see are mostly on 57th Street. Central Park South is 59th Street, 2 blocks. Some of these things go through, and then we will take a walk over in that last building over there. It doesn't look very tall from here because it's way over on the east side, Park Avenue, 432 Park. This globe that you see here was erected by Mr. Trump. It is a replica, smaller size, of the globe at the New York, the World's Fair, Corona, Flushing Meadows, Corona Park. I think he was there twice. The World's Fair was a huge expo that showed off technology and, I don't know, maybe farm, who knows what else. Back in the day, I think it was in the 30s, came to New York twice, went around the country a few times. But that's the sphere that's on a much larger scale. You may have seen it when you see videos of the tennis open, the US Open, played right around there. Anyway, we'll go to one more building here, where it's a Billionaire Row. This building here, 15 Central Park West, has a couple sections. Looks like an older building, but it was just built in that style. There used to be the Mayflower Hotel, that was taken down. Still see another building next door. That's an old Art Deco building, a condos, Century, in between there. But between these two buildings, there's a little driveway entrance and 2 sections of 15 Central Park West. Again, a celebrity building. When it was new, people bought apartments for $14 million, sold them for $28. That was considered a lot of money back then. And that was in the early 2000s. So there's been a history of trying to one-up the next sale here. This is Broadway, 2 directions. This is a new rental building, just came up, very expensive. And then you have another condo over there, it came up during the pandemic. Those are the loggias, so the building is called Park Loggia. The expenses here, there's some old rental buildings that are now very expensive, just because of the location. Between here and Lincoln Center. We'll take a little walk here, right across the street. Again, that's Columbus Circle there. This is the Time Warner building, which has now been purchased by Deutsche Bank. So while people still call it the Time Warner Center, it is technically the Deutsche Bank Center. Get a better idea of the 2 buildings there. That's 2 wings, again, including residential, hotel, it's Mandarin Hotel, Lincoln Center Jazz. The Time Warner offices used to be there, which I guess are now Deutsche Bank offices. Beautiful big open areas inside for restaurants and a lot of good holiday decorations this time. And restaurants and lounges. It used to be a place for kids. I think that's gone out of business. There's a Shake Shack, yes, that's new. Not the highest end of establishments. But anyway, here we go. Around the circle, around the Rugged Rock. The Ragged Rascal ran, nursery rhyme. Can't really see the circle very much right now. These lovely horse carriages. And then Amazon deliveries. Well, actually from Whole Foods deliveries. The real deal happens to be an ice cream store. Lots of bikes for rent. Again, the Trump International Hotel. Also residential properties, timeshare properties, all kinds of interesting. And there's a very famous restaurant in there, Jean-Georges, French restaurant. Pedicabs here. I'm a bit of a nuisance. You could buy a hat. It says New York or something else. Beautiful photographs, framed, ready to go. Well, they're not framed, they're matted. And you can frame them in whatever frame you choose. Colombian coffee. So this is entrance here, Central Park, southwest entrance. This is a memorial to soldiers who perished, I think, in the Spanish War, perished in the Maine. I guess that was a ship by fate, warned death, afraid. Oh well, beautiful statue. You could get any kind of junk food you'd like. Yeah, they're all lined up. Come on, tourists. So yes, this opulent wealth, millions and millions and millions. And then someone comes here and buys chili cheese fries for $8. So as I walk around this quadrant, it's a quadrant of a circle. So we were on the other side there, kind of the north side of Columbus Circle. And we go down to the middle here. 59th Street. Columbus is still over there. Some more very interesting buildings here. That one with all the X's was built inside its publishing house, inside a beautiful old building. Here's a clean view of Columbus. It's a statue of Columbus right there. And you can see that from inside, the lower level, right below that large open space, which I believe is a Rose Theater, Lincoln Center, is food court, and there are restaurants and things. You can just sit and watch Columbus Circle and Central Park. Believe it or not, we got a new Starbucks. Oh, relatively new. We came in here during the pandemic. We have a museum here, arts and design, and there's a nice little restaurant above this one where you can also look down at Columbus Circle. Pretty nice restaurant. I forget the name of it, but it's inside this Museum of Arts and Design. They had some Taylor Swift outfits there a little while ago. Here we are on the opposite angle, so you can still see the former Time Warner Center, now Deutsche Bank. Columbus Circle with Columbus in the middle, right above the trees there. Rental building and the Park Loggia, as well as the former Gulf and Western building, now a Trump International Tower. And then that Central Park West that goes up in that direction. So that's another new building that's trying to be close to Billionaire Row, very billionaire eligible. Because the prices of the apartments, anything new and modern like that, that's practically a super tall, have very high prices. Land is expensive, workmanship's expensive, the location is very expensive. This is actually an old rental building. Believe it or not, right here on the circle. And by Central Park South, take a look at the entrance of some of these buildings. I'm going to cut across to 57th Street. So we're now on 59th, which is Central Park South. Many times I come over here on weekends. A friend of ours has a rent-stabilized apartment. This beautiful building. On the 20th floor is a roof deck, and she invites us for potluck. Beautiful views of Central Park from the 20th floor. So that's some of the Billionaire Row views that you can get by living in a rent-stabilized apartment right here. So that's behind me, 40 Central Park South rental building. Maria seems to be closed. It's a very fancy restaurant. You may have walked by here before in another video. Oh no, it's open. The bar's open. Always make sure you follow, subscribe, and look for future episodes as we walk by here on 59th Street, which is in the white part of Billionaire Row. This building we're coming up on will be 220 Central Park South. 220 Central Park South was also built by Excel. Here we go, 220 Central Park South, nothing to do with the scaffolding. This is the record-holding building here in New York City. Penthouse was sold for $237 million, I believe. And I think there was another combination sold for $250 million, or all put together. Came to $250 million. Kind of hard to see from here. Maybe I can go across the street and show you. But it's a rather tall building. Not the tallest, but one of the super talls. Careful of these scooters. Oh, there the door opens again. 210 Central Park South. Oh, can you see up there? That's the penthouse, way, way, way up there. It's set back a little and to the side, the way they built this. Robert A.M. Stern architect. Done a lot of good buildings in the city. This building over here, not anywhere near as ostentatious as an old co-op, but look at those balconies. A colleague of mine has had a few apartments to sell. I think he sold at least one. There may be another two available. Ridiculous views of Central Park in these balconies. Another older building. I believe it's co-ops and rentals. Right here on Central Park South. More balconies. And the athletic club there. That's the New York Athletic Club. Very fancy private club. I was told before I came to New York in America, you can't be too rich, too thin, or too private. So you can't be too rich too thin or too private. There's a private club. Now, not any old riffraff can go there, but there are ways to gain membership. And I've been inside for meetings. So let's try going up. I think I'm going to go back this way, get a view of this building, and show you one of the most beautiful buildings in the area here. This whole area still considered Billionaire Row. Some of the history I've just given you. Well, people started spending money here. No part of New York is really cheap. But this is a part where we'll say, what's the most expensive part of New York? Well, we always say the Village, Tribeca, but in terms of apartment prices, this is it. Look, you can get a picnic basket here, rent a picnic basket, and go into the park. We're only a block from the park at this point, or less than a block. A lovely brasserie that just redone in the last year. The more money there is, the fancier the place is. Now this, the gorgeous building here. Hopefully the Benjamin Moore van will move, but you get a nice little perspective. Gorgeous old building, the Alvin Court. Look at all the work on it. It used to be a restaurant, Russian restaurant, Petrosian. And there are the super talls. This one right here is 157. One of the earliest super talls. I remember they were building it and the Hurricane Sandy knocked rain off the top of the building while they were building it. I was hanging. I didn't actually hit anyone. I was taken down. I think this is all for the United Nations Security Council. We're not even close to the building, but because of the United Nations shutdowns, a lot of traffic is diverted. There are probably some dignitaries staying over there. I believe Trump is in town, so Trump Tower, which I did maybe my first video on. Rented that apartment. It was 721 Fifth Avenue, and that one rented just for a year to another agent who is now with my company. But I worked hard on that because we did a lot of renovations in the apartment. That's the Trump Tower, the original Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. A friend of mine, his father owns an apartment there, and we rented it. But he's in town, so that's where he would stay. A lot of this traffic has to do with security operations. All right, here we go. This is a nice little crossroads, the entrance to the NQRW, 7th Avenue and 57th Street. This over here is Carnegie Hall. Taking down some of the scaffolding. I think we saw this in the previous video. There was a lot of this scaffolding on it because they were working on improving it, making sure that bricks don't fall off. What we've spoken about before is Local Law 11. That's I believe an office tower there above Carnegie Hall. And that is 157. It's an old pre-war. It's actually a condo. And over there in the distance is another super tall. That one being 432 Park Avenue. So we got a nice busy day here. All the traffic. This is a gorgeous old building. And Carnegie Diner and Cafe. I used to come to this place before it was Carnegie Diner and Cafe and have a little something before going to a concert at Carnegie Hall. Architecture here is beautiful. And of course, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? The old New York saying, practice, practice, practice. Hall opened, I think, in the 1800s by Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky, the famous Russian composer. Conducted the first concert here. Funded, built by Andrew Carnegie. All right, am I on the right side of what I want to show you? Yeah, well, this is a good way to look at the Osborne Apartments. This is a co-op. Looks like Leonard Bernstein lived here in the Osborne. He lived a few places. He lived in the Dakota too. Osborne Apartments. National Register of Historic Places. So that's a beautiful old building. Right? The lobby is gorgeous. They won't let you film inside there. Cobbler, Diner, Brooklyn Diner. Well, it's not a diner. It's not in Brooklyn. But it's there. So technically in the Billionaire Row area here. A lot of these pop art type antique shops. There's the old Lee's art shop. There is no art shop there anymore. Lee's went out of business years and years ago, but they keep the sign up and they use the space for various pop-up. I think they did some movie or show or some sort of space they use it for, but it's pretty much empty right now. This is the outdoor space for 777, but that's used by a lot of it's for Brooklyn Diner. And believe it or not, this was not here earlier. The Art Students League has once again been covered. I guess it's time to redo the brickwork. I thought it was just a few years ago that done that. So walking back towards, not exactly Columbus Circle, but we're walking west again. This is the tallest residential building. It's only residences. I know the Burj is taller, but it's more offices. This is just residences. The Nordstrom store takes up a bunch of space here. Probably have a few videos of some of the apartments in here. Views of Central Park, and I think there were at least 2 or 3 apartments that I had videos. So we'll have some of those. So we can look at the tallest residential building right now, the most expensive. The penthouse is available. Not many people are able to buy any of these apartments, but if you are interested, the link is below. I'd be happy to guide you through the process and make comparisons with other buildings here or anywhere in the country. So as we get to the corner here, Nordstrom has taken up most of this block. Then across the street is an office building. So Nordstrom is around here, wrap around. That's the women's section. And there's the men's section across the street. Now that's another old office building covered in glass. That's the Trump International, the gold. It used to be the Gulf and Western. People get lost sometimes. Compasses don't work. So back to 57. And we should try to cross here to get another view of some of these buildings, because you can just see the bottoms right now. Okay, here we are on the south side of 57th Street. Bus only, yes. I was going to show you the tops of some of these buildings. That is 157, curved top there. The building that had the crane hanging off during Sandy. No longer the tallest, but definitely one of the taller buildings here. This is Central Park Tower. See how high up I can show you here. That is the tallest residential building. I believe 120 stories, something like that. I've definitely been on 113. There we go. Not the best view, but that's what we can get from down here. Over here you see, right behind 157 is the Steinway building 111. Formerly the Steinway piano showroom. And that's 111 West 57. Other super tall. And of course, Carnegie Hall. Okay, so we're going to walk by this Carnegie Hall to my left, walking down 7th Avenue from 57th to, 56th. That was quite a guess. One street below 57th is 56th. Also another very busy area, same area, 888 Cafe and Bar. 888 is the address of this building. You saw from the other side, the Red Eye Grill. Old hotels here, Park Central, Wellington, which is no longer there, that's not functioning. And then over here, you look up, we see CitySpire. I can't even see the top of it really, but CitySpire, another controversial building in its time, back in the 80s or the 90s, whenever it was built, it whistled. The structure of the building was such that the wind blew through it and made a piercing noise throughout the neighborhood. So they had to do some changes to the architecture of the building, stop the whistling. Now, is that Billionaire Row? No. The neighborhood. That's just Millionaires. Not a cheap building, but apartments are in. You get an apartment for 1.3 and up, walking down the back door of Carnegie Hall, advertising a lot of the artists. Another old building here. I think that one's a condo, 162. Old building. It's a condominium. The Philharmonia Orchestra. Okay. I used to come to a lot of concerts here back in the day. When I had free time, season tickets. Carnegie Hotel. It's pretty small. And somewhere here around the city center, another performance space. I believe that's on 55th. Oh, the Russian tea room. We should have walked by the other side. Very famous eatery. Russian, obviously. Carnegie Muse, Carnegie Tower. And this is 56th Street. This is 145 West 56th. Look at that building. How tall is that? So if you like tall buildings, this is the area. You get these walkways. I don't know if you've ever done the walkways. Public access to 55th Street. So once in a while I show these. I think there's one with a very nice restaurant in it. Not this one, but you can walk through here to the next street. And I think maybe the next one has that fancy restaurant. But yeah, let's try that. Close enough to here. That's New York City Center. City Center. That's another performance space on 55th. We're walking inside a building from one end, from one street to the next. So we were on 56th, and now we're about to hit 55th. That's why the city center posters are in here, because that's where city center is. It is a Monday. It's also a holiday, or tomorrow is a holiday. So it looks like they've closed off that section there where there is another restaurant in there. We're supposed to be able to walk through, but maybe today's not the day for that. New York City Center, or just performance space. I believe it's an old, maybe Moroccan style architecture. A lot of work inside here. This is the famous Ziegfeld ballroom. And one time, I believe the Ziegfeld Follies were here back in the 1920s. Coming up in a very nice area here. There's a fancy Greek restaurant. I've done some business on this block, 55th Street. Again, this traffic is crazy because of all the security with the United Nations, president being in town, and just being a busy area to begin with. So Milos, very fancy Greek restaurant. As you can see, everything, white tablecloths, Greek food, but on the high end. I believe they have other branches. That over there is Quality Bistro, which is a whole bunch of, whole family of restaurants. The Quality restaurants is the old Stage Star Deli. Backstage Speakeasy, okay. So we're sort of going down what should be a slightly more quiet street. It's a lovely rental building here, luxury apartments. Actually have wood-burning fireplaces. So if you're looking for wood-burning fireplaces, those are the things that it really helps to get a real estate agent here in New York who has experience. Can find these things for you. Even ask about what you need. Oh, look there, that point. Let me see if I can get you a little closer. That's another super tall. So we're not exactly on Billionaire Row, but slightly south. That's closer to MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art. Well, we're not getting through a lot of this area. Hoping to get you over to Park Avenue to see 432 Park, but that's ways away through all this traffic. Can I walk there? Sure. But is it worth it? Time on the video? I don't know. So right now we're going back up. We're walking towards 57th again. We get to see a few more views of some of the 57th Street super talls, which in some ways you can consider Billionaire Row proper. If there's anything proper about that. Now, the Billionaire buildings were originally, it was called Billionaire Row because a lot of the apartments could only be afforded by billionaires. So where did the money come from, you ask? Well, a lot of foreign countries, a lot of foreign nationals parked money here on Billionaire Row before the controls came into place. Well, here we have another view. That's CitySpire again. Close to Billionaire Row, but not a Billionaire building. And let's go stand through all this traffic here. Let me see, of course, that's Trump Tower, 721 Fifth Avenue. And behind it is Park Avenue the other super tall. Anyway, so as I was saying, a lot of foreign nationals park their money in these very expensive apartments. No one knew where the money came from exactly. Countries like China, Russia, Middle East, Brazil, parts of Europe. How did they get that money? Well, they imposed some controls, find out where did you get your money and who exactly owns the apartment. So that slowed down the purchase of Billionaire Row apartments, and a lot of them are left empty. Obviously, a lot of these people who did purchase them don't live here. They just have a pied-à-terre. What is a pied-à-terre? People know. It's an apartment where you have a foot on the ground. That means you can come anytime you want, stay in your apartment. You don't live here, you live somewhere else. Okay, so we're back on the corner of 57th and this time 6th Avenue. Quality Italian, like I said, a lot of quality Italian restaurant there, Mediterranean, and many more Billionaire Row views. That's 157, the third one, but over here we have 111 West 57th, the former Steinway building, which is actually an older building over there. And the apartment I went to view is actually in that section, 17th floor, huge apartment building. Okay, so we have a lot of bus traffic here. I wish I could show you more of the entrance, maybe when I cross the street, but then I won't be able to show you what I want to show you here. That says Steinway. There's a showroom in the building for Steinway pianos. For anyone who knows pianos, that are some of the best in the world. 97 out of the 100 pianos and concert halls are made by Steinway. Steinway Grands, other Steinway sizes as well. But the largest concert pianos, I think there's a factory in Germany and in Astoria, Queens. But this was the showroom that I have visited in the past, not to buy a piano, but it's been here. And they took this old building and they took the land next to it, behind it, and they built all of that. To the side, it's very slender. It gets very narrow at the top, but it is a super tall. We will look at apartments in Central Park Tower. Doesn't look as tall from here because those are all super talls. Oh, there you see a little bit more of the entrance there. Nice harp in the window, the symbol of Steinway, and this older section where we will see a 5-bedroom apartment, brand new 5-bedroom apartment in the older section of the building that someone purchased and decided they didn't want to move into, so they're selling it. That is the high-rise part, which overlooks Central Park. Very strong portion of Billionaire Row here on 57th Street, 111 West 57th. All right, today we are at 17S, 111 West 57th, the former Steinway Studios, but this is a high-rise built above. Let's take a look. Entry foyer. Some of the old parts of the building. A little laundry room here, powder room, beautiful marble sink. And it is a duplex. So we get a staircase inside the apartment and this lovely double height living room. Some pocket doors here and then some dining. This upper dining room there. These windows look out 57th Street and are double glass city quiet windows. As you can see, there's a little balcony up there or base above the stairs. So we'll go through into the kitchen here. That's a redwood forest, I guess. Little eating area, breakfast bar, and a lovely kitchen. Deep sink. Got a nice window facing north. Gaggenau appliances. Including your own coffee maker, espresso maker, and this beautiful fridge. Now off the living room is another room. I guess you could use it as a study. Seems to be laid out as a bedroom right now. Lovely marble bathroom. Very nice size. So maybe it's a guest room.
Maybe it's an office. And go through here and have another bedroom. This one's a little smaller, quieter. Nice big window. Beautiful bathroom. Shower and a tub, closet over here. So these two bedrooms down here. And let's go upstairs. Second level of the apartment. This is the little landing we saw from downstairs. That gives you a lovely bird's eye view of the living room. Here we have probably the primary suite dressing area. Sure, you could put another closet in there. It's only a single sink and a shower. Maybe not maybe there are two of these. Let us take a look. A lot of sort of Art Deco style, modern Art Deco. And here's definitely a king-size bedroom. And there's another bathroom over here. This is definitely primary. And look at this lovely chrome bathtub. You can see 432 Park, Trump Tower, and some electricals. Nice little area to hang your stuff. I'm sure you could put in a closet. And back again through the main primary. City quiet windows. So there are two bathrooms to this primary. We'll go straight over and see another bedroom. So this is 4 out of 5 bedrooms. That's Central Park, a little bit of Central Park. Right there. The rest is all urban New York. Very central. That's 157. Or is that Central Park too? Yeah, I think that's 157. Nice shower. Stall in here. And completely different sink setup. Got a very large window. Very bright. Nice big closet here. And one more bedroom, I believe. So day bed in here. So it's a large suite. Office. Not sure you could do a bedroom. This is probably the back door. Yeah, service. So this is definitely more of an office than a bedroom. But if push comes to shove, you need 5 bedrooms. There it is. There you have it. And that concludes our tour of this beautiful 5-bedroom residence at 111 West 57th, the former Steinway building. Still has Steinway pianos. Christopher Butt with the Corcoran Group.
All right, so we have all this traffic on 57th Street. That's opulent 57. There's a gentleman applauding the cops for all the traffic control. Quality Italian. Now, while we're not going to make it all the way over to that building, which we won't be able to see from the street level, there it is, 432 Park. It's one of the early super talls here, and still considered part of Billionaire Row. Right there is, of course, the Trump building, owned by a very famous billionaire. Well, built by a very famous billionaire, owned by all the people who purchased condominiums there. That is the Crown building, which you can see from many of the windows at the Trump Tower, where the president is currently residing for this United Nations Security Council. And we're going to walk right along here, 57th, give you a better view of 111. So here's the entrance to Central Park Tower. We're going to see a couple of apartments in here. And stick with me, and I think the last apartment we have able to put in is from one of the very high floors. I mean, all the floors are high, but there's one way up at the top.
All right, 81E at Central Park Tower. That means we are on the 81st floor. Expansive views north from the living room, which is over Central Park. And that is pretty much all of Central Park, Upper East Side. Upper West Side. And that is 220 Central Park South, another sister development. So from this huge living dining, we go into the kitchen here. It's an eat-in kitchen, a true eat-in kitchen. Beautiful island. A lot of space to eat, sit, and take in views. You see all the way to the George Washington Bridge here. And a lot of the buildings in Midtown, including 157, which is another condominium, 111 Central 57th Street, which is the Steinway building. Some of the older buildings here, City Core, the CitySpire, Carnegie Tower, and then over there are again newer buildings, 53 West 53rd, 520 Fifth Avenue, and the Chase building. We have the Chrysler building, one Vanderbilt, which is a commercial building, and the Empire State Building. So let's see the rest of the apartment here.
So we have 67 million dollars for
This is the very famous Travante. So this is one of the first bedrooms here, and I believe there is a shower. It's currently a study, but this is definitely one of the 5 bedrooms. Wake up to this every morning. This is eastern exposure. A closet in here. First bedroom. Washer dryer closet. Second bedroom here with a lower bed in it. Now this one also has a shower, slightly different configuration. Not behind the door like the last one. Same eastern views. And another closet here. And one more. So here's a third bedroom. This one has a tub. This bathroom here. Got some materials in there. Bedroom number 3. And then we go to the primary. This is a very large primary with amazing views. That's all of Midtown and southern Manhattan. The sun's trying to come out over there. That's the Hudson River. Goes over here. Another closet here. That's a walk-in. Another closet here. And this is the primary bathroom with a beautiful tub where you're overlooking, again, southern and Midtown. Faces south, so it's Midtown all the way to downtown and the Freedom Tower. Double sink vanity and medicine cabinets. I see there's some smart connections in there. And that was the primary suite. So this little corridor connects all the bedrooms on this side. We're back around to the front, so we came through the kitchen. A huge coat closet. You can put your skis in there. And the powder room, which was as we came in. So So there we have the 4-bedroom it was.
No. I told them they're buying this as is, right?
81
I know. Yeah.
Central Park Tower.
So
So we're at 81W.
Okay, thank you.
This is 81W Central Park Tower.
And we lived in this dorm called Callaway freshman year. It's awful.
This is a 3-bedroom. Like you can store your books up there. Open lit kitchen. A dining area right here. And the kitchen right there. Some amazing views from here as well. That's Columbus Circle down there. And this ornate stool here. I guess they're cleaning the windows today. That's pretty nice. And this is all Central Park. Upper East Side. A little bit of the Upper West Side. But most of Central Park. We'll come back to the kitchen. Also, this is first bedroom here. There are 3 bedrooms. Really spacious bathroom with a tub. Closet over there. And the western views of the Hudson River. As well as Columbus Circle down there, those little yellow cabs. Let's see the next bedroom.
So weird. That'd be so wrong.
Second bedroom here. There's 2 beds in it right now. And a shower stall. And the ensuite bath. Closet. It's 2 closets in here. Look at that. One doesn't open. One's there. Another one here. Oh, that's HVAC. So off we go to the primary.
So you need to do lots of. So do you buyers
And this primary again has southern views. So it's all Midtown. All the way to the Freedom Tower. And then all these newer, older, taller buildings. Well, not taller than this one. This is the tallest. Central Park Tower. So here we have a lot of doors. Let's check what they are. A nice walk-in closet. Hopefully there's another one. Yes, another walk-in closet. Of course, they need to be built out so you can put your things in them. And this is probably just HVAC. No, it's not. Another little closet here. Not sure why. A 3rd closet, but this is the primary bath. And the western 81W. It's a 3-bedroom, but you still have a nice shower stall. And a beautiful bathtub. You can bathe looking over the city. Over there, I believe, is almost Times Square. It's showtime, but I don't think you actually see Times Square. Let's go back to the kitchen. So we come from the living room, dining area, kitchen. There's 3 seats here. And as you're cooking, you can look out on this western view. Miele cooktop with gas. All these drawers and cabinets. I'm sure that goes out. Nice little drawers, cabinet there. and microwave and oven, a refrigerator, lots of water, a freezer section. You know what's in here? Just some storage? Nope, that's a wine fridge. That's for storage, and that's your built-in coffee maker. And there is a powder room. Not as immediately as you come in, it's a little bit off to the side. What do we have here? Closet. And a washer dryer. So it's got its own little section here off the main hallway. And that is 81W.
So here's the inscription, Steinway and Sons. That is the entrance to showroom, which has been maintained. It's a private residence, but the grounds of the building has been maintained. And there's one piano in there. The actual Steinway showroom has been moved. It is in a more modern space on, I believe, 43rd and 6th. You can see glass windows. It's easier to see the pianos from the street. So let's see if we can end over here. So a tour of Billionaire Row. This is an old building, the Steinway showroom, taken over 111 West 57th. And I do have videos of an apartment, 5-bedroom in this section of the building. But right above, I don't know if, oh, that's just the old section. The new section you cannot see from here, but I showed it from the other side of the street. We've seen it from Columbus Circle. And you'll see the interior of one of the apartments. Christopher Butt with the Corcoran Group. Follow me, sign up, look for further videos, different neighborhoods, subscribe, and ask me any questions you have about New York City, living here, and how you can get an apartment here or almost anywhere in the country, some other parts of the world as well. Look in the section below for my contact, and hopefully we can find you the right place, here or somewhere else, or anywhere. Name of my parent company. That's Corcoran's parent company.